The rise ball is one of the best pitches you can throw in fast pitch softball for deception. And before we get into our 4 exercise progression, we're just going to cover the grip of the rise ball. So first thing we want to make sure is that all the pressure is on our middle finger and our thumb, and that we get good tight spin on the ball. So to do that, I recommend trying, even if your hands are small, try this. Try to knuckle up the rise. So we want to place our pointer finger up on the seam with our middle finger on the side of the seam, horseshoe pointing up. Now the thumb is going to hold the other seam so that we can snap with the pressure of our middle finger and our thumb. If you do have to place your finger down, that's fine, but try this so that we have most of the pressure on the middle finger and the thumb. So the first exercise in the rise ball progression is just nice and easy spins right to ourself. We always want to stay underneath the rise ball at release. So we stay underneath it and spin it with our wrists and our fingers for good tight backspin. If we try to spin it with our bigger muscles and turn it, then the spin isn't going to be really tight. So big muscles are fine for a wind up and a push off. Small muscles, fingers and wrists, are what we want for the rise ball. So that's the first exercise in the progression. Spins right to ourselves. We should get perfect backspin on this every time because it's just our wrists and our fingers. Now the second exercise in the progression is we're going to throw to our catcher with a nice tight elbow. So we want the elbow right up against our side. One of the universals in all the top pitchers is that their elbow is hidden from the catcher at plant position when they throw. So for this, we're just going to go elbow right up against side. Again, staying underneath the rise ball the whole time. That doesn't mean leaning back per se. It just means staying with our wrists and our fingers underneath the rise ball. So nice tight elbow, spinning backspin to our catcher. Of course, this isn't going to be a very hard throw, and it's actually going to come back down even if you're throwing it a ways, but we want to stay pretty close for this, just maybe a couple meters away. So we want to make sure perfect backspin every time on this. Nice tight elbow. Okay, now the third exercise in the progression is we're going to get a little bit more separation when we throw and take a baby step, just a small step. Again, working on staying underneath the rise ball, spinning it correctly to our catcher. Now we want to make sure that we have good whip when we throw a rise or really throw any pitch. One of the myths you'll sometimes hear is a straight arm when we go to throw, but that's the last thing we want for velocity and spin. We want tension free in our arm so that the elbow leads and the wrist follows with the fingers coming out the back spinning the ball. So this is the third exercise in our progression. A little more separation, pendulum, a baby step, and again, aiming for perfect backspin. The ball might come back down a little bit at the end of your catcher if you're throwing it a little farther, but that's fine because we're aiming for spin right now, not velocity. Holding it correctly, staying underneath, snapping our fingers. And now the fourth progression in the exercise is we're going to add just a lazy, easy arm circle and maybe a little bit bigger of a step, but staying with a small step and working on spinning the ball correctly with the right grip, staying underneath the ball. So a nice lazy arm circle. Trying to get backspin on it every time. And now with this one, your backspin might not be quite as good as with, of course, the first one or the second or third, but that's fine. We're still trying to get good backspin, and the closer backspin we can get, the better rise ball it's going to be. So there's 3 levels to the rise ball. I categorize the rise ball in 3 levels. The first level is beginner, and what it is it's kind of almost a screwball spin. You just see a big dot in the middle, like so, and it really doesn't move at all. So that's what we don't want when we throw a pitch, especially a rise ball. That's a level 1. Now level 2 is a bit of a tighter spin, so you don't really see a big dot. You might see a tiny little dot, but it's a very tighter spin, and it's almost backspin. So it might be just a little bit of a side spin, sort of like that, a little bit of a side spin, but it's going to rise slightly because it's being thrown up. The first level 1, that's not going to rise at all. Now level 3 is what we want to aim for, and that's either backspin or almost perfect backspin. Usually level 3s, because it's so hard to get perfect backspin on a full out windup, level 3s are going to be more of a rise curve type tilt. So the ball is going to backspin with a little bit of a tilt, but we are getting underneath it on a level 3. So keep that in mind when you're working on your rise ball. Make sure you stay disciplined on our progression, get through those correctly, and then you can work up into your windup and hopefully develop a good rise ball.